I'm,
Okay.
I'm writing another book. I just put out my a second sketchbook, David Coleman's Doodles Volume 2. I have to put a shameless plug in there.
Oh, please. That's
Um,
that's where we're doing this.
and yeah, it's over 110 pages of full color. It's a full color hardcover sketchbook. It's unlike my Art of Animal character design. It's not very instructional or, like, I should say, philosophical. It's just a bunch of images. It also proves that I don't just do animals.
Yeah. There you
um,
go.
and it's, yeah, I'm selling it. I kept the price point pretty low for my fans on that one. So I don't make a lot of profit, but I'm doing it in this economy to help everyone out.
Has has your book producing your books? You've got three now, right?
Uh, yeah, I have a little bit more, but the two well-known self-published ones are the Art of Animal character design, and now David Coleman's Doodles Volume 2. The sketchbook before that was just David Coleman's Doodles Volume 1. It was a small trade paperback, and it was about 36 pages black and white. But that one got me a lot of visibility.
Have you found it to be a pretty profitable venture to self-publish like this?
Yes, it is. You have to spend money to make money. I did it for visibility. First and foremost, I found with the little book, well, the first one was only $5. I didn't send it to make money. I set out to actually make a name for myself outside of the studio, and it did that. It got me a few jobs, got me my job at Cartoon Network, and so on and so forth. And with the animal book, I did that also because I felt it was to fill a need. There were so many books out there that taught you about life drawing or drawing animals, and then there were books about cartooning, but there was none telling you what to do when you after you study from life. How do you take your life studies and use it in the actual trade craft of an entertainment design, character design, so on and so forth? So that's what my book did. It really filled a niche market. That's why I was pretty passionate about it too. I mean, if you read any of my words, you can tell I really believe it. I really feel it.
It
And
paid off.
so
It's an excellent book, Dave.
Oh,
Excellent
thank
book.
you so much. Yeah, and I wrote the whole thing myself, and it not only garnered a lot of visibility for me. It got me my job at Disney Feature. It gets me lectures, but it also I've sold. There's over 2,500 copies in circulation now. I'm on my second printing, yeah, it didn't take long to make the money back. But I also studied up on how to the philosophy behind self-publishing your own book. In this day and age, it's very easy to do so. Publishers, you can really cut them out. You cut out that middleman. You cut out the agent. You can do it yourself if you have a little capital, a little bit of time, and really understand the philosophy behind marketing yourself. Because I read this book. I don't mind plugging it. Name of Daniel Poynter, Poynter. It's called the Self-Publishing Manual, and it talks about your price point and how to do your markup and where to get like an ISBN number and all that stuff, and how to really get, and also how to go about writing it. I didn't just sit down and write my book. I carried a notebook around with me because it's a second job for a lot of us, and so I would get an idea, I'd be stuck in traffic, and I'd jot it down, and over time I'd compile my ideas and then start typing it up. But that's the way I suggest to a lot of people to start writing. You just don't sit down and start with page one.
Right.
And then, it's a matter when the books show up and you actually get it, then you got to advertise it. I put together a press packet. I really put myself out there. I did a lot of, I really pounded the pavement, did a lot of footwork and grunt work, and just walked into stores and introduced myself. And, obviously you can tell I have the gift of gab, so it really helped in that area. And people said, "Oh, you're a great salesman." No, I'm not a salesman. I'm just talking about what I love to do.
Yeah.
After a while, the product sells itself. Look, if I couldn't sell you a vacuum cleaner if I didn't believe in it. I mean, it's something. This is just. I'm just talking about what I do, and I love it. So it just after a while, the book sells itself. But I also believe in it greatly, and I also this book particularly, like I said, I did it. It filled a niche market. But once if you put in the time, the energy, and everything from the actual production of the book, which is the writing, the layout, so on and so forth, get it edited, then it's a matter of getting it printed. There's a lot of print houses. I did mine in Hong Kong, China for that matter, and you really cut costs that way. And then it's a matter once you get it to actually find outlets. Everybody from Amazon to small retail mom and pop shops to comic book conventions and book conventions and doing lectures and putting up a website and almost just being a shameless self-promoter. When I was at Disney and I worked in production, or I worked in the copy room, I would shamelessly put my drawings all over the walls and make cheesy little signs about don't break the Xerox copier, just come for help and stuff like that. Those drawings are, unfortunately, I think still up on the wall. But, it was a way of getting myself out there, and I'm shameless about it, man, because I want to do it, But, you basically put yourself out there, and it can be lucrative. It's very promising. I encourage a lot of people to do it because nowadays software is easy to acquire and cheap for that matter, and you can really you can do it on your own, and you actually maintain a lot of creative freedom. If you try to get out there and do it yourself and get out there and give it to an agent or a company, chances are it's going to be changed, and it's not going to be your baby anymore. If you believe in it that much, do it yourself.
Have you found the comic book convention circuit to be beneficial in getting your book out there and getting it to the public?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, geez, you get in touch with the little guy, and a lot of attendees come to those shows just to meet the little guy. But yeah, it made a name for me outside of the studios, and I have a really wide fan base now. Online fan base and ones that I meet at the conventions, and they keep coming back. So yeah, it's a real great way to get out there. I mean, I when I went to my first Comic-Con in San Diego in 2005 maybe. I went there. It was the first time I'd been to one. I was blown away. I was seeing what these people were doing, putting together these little sketchbooks, and I said, you know what, I can do that. So the next year I got a table. Before it was very hard to get tables, and I shared a table with my friend Jim, and I put out this little $5 sketchbook, and I think I did some prints too, and I ended up doing fairly well, and it got my name out there. And then all of a sudden people started coming back and contacting me, and I got little freelance jobs, or I sparked the interest of some big time producers, and it just started steamrolling. Because man, this is the advice I give all the time: you gotta want it, and you get yourself out there any way you can. And the comic book conventions are a great outlet for that. Because you don't need a shop to set up. You don't, or you don't need to put it in a store. You are the store.
Yeah.
So I suggest it to everybody if you can do it. And sometimes if you can't get an actual table, some of these are hard to get. There's smaller books like book dealers like Stewarding Books. Stewart's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy, and he gave me a chance. And it really helped me out. I drew a big fan base through his retail online store and through his exhibiting at these conventions.
Okie dokie. Some excellent suggestions, Guy. And again, I don't want to take too much of your time. This is really going to help a lot of folks out there, because a lot of folks are battling the chasing after the publishers, chasing after the agents, and I think it's a really good idea to keep it your own and do your best to try and build up the funds that you need in order to make it your own, keep it your own, and publish your own book.
Yeah, and not. I'm sorry, did I cut you off there?
No, go ahead.
And for me, I did a print run at 2,500, and yeah, I actually had to get an investor. I didn't have the type of capital laying around, but it was, there are other venues. Instead of going to these big print houses, you can go to, I think Lulu Press does these print on demand, where you don't really make a lot if it's just print on demand, but it's a good way to get out there, and so you got to realize in the beginning, if you're out there, I'm doing it just to make money. Do something else, because it's not, because you could make a buck investing in things, and make more money than you could if it's this, but you're investing in yourself because you believe in it, and gosh darn it, you want to do something you like doing, and if you find something you love doing, which is doing children's book, you're going to make money at it. It's just a matter of time. You're going to figure out a way. Man, if you love hauling trash for a living, somehow you're going to make money hauling trash. If you like selling lollipops, you're going to somehow make money selling lollipops, Yeah. So at first it's all about visibility, getting yourself out there, and over time, I mean, if your goal is, okay, I'd rather to have a big publisher take on my book, well, try to self-publish it at first. Do one of these print-on-demand things, and if you can gain a fan base and kind of get a little bit of a market, the publisher is going to be more interested in you. Like now, I know my animal character design book, I probably could submit it to a publisher and have them take it over. But then I sacrifice quality. They could change it. They could put it in a soft paperback,
Yeah.
They could change things, and so I didn't want to do that. I'd rather keep doing it myself. Granted, I have to store all the books, but I have generous parents and some space.
Oh, there you
are.